We then run into our lovable main universe Deadpool, who is offered $2 million by the shady villainous group AIM to retrieve a special package from the Savage Land. Getting money and asking questions later, Deadpool agreed and was launched in a pod from space and blasted to the land below. He is then approached by the mighty Khazar, who upon seeing Deadpool's fashionable and sexy costume, shows him that the island natives had actually constructed a giant statue of him in the middle of the Savage Land. Honored into thinking he had a fan club, Deadpool went in to greet his groupies, where he then runs into the sultry Dr. Betty Swanson, who is also assigned by AIM to help Deadpool claim the designated package. Immediately falling in love with the beautiful scientist, Deadpool tried his best to use his suave flirting skills with the woman, only for her to be disgusted and annoyed at her forced co-worker for the time being. "Girl, I don't know what you're talking about. This man is beautiful." Upon making contact with the natives, Deadpool's supposed fans then attack and overwhelm the pair, where they proceed to kidnap them. Once they awake, Deadpool and Betty are then taken to the group's leader, who was also their target. This ended up being none other than Headpool, who had found his way to the Savage Land after crashing here in his little sailboat. He was then picked up by the natives and worshipped as a god. Pretty sweet gig if you ask me. Headpool then noticed the healthy muscular body that our world's Deadpool had and thought it would look much better on him. I mean, hey, the guy has been ahead for a very long time now. He's due for some legs. Headpool's zombie caveman goons then go in to slice off our hero's noggin, only for them to miss and cut off Deadpool's arm, which he uses to escape and smack them all around with. He then grabs Headpool, where he escapes with Dr. Betty. Upon their escape, the trio then run into a ravenous group of raptors, I mean, of course they would, who they manage to defeat. After their run-in with Jurassic Park, they are then intercepted by Hydra soldiers who are also in pursuit of Headpool. Everyone after the poor little guy. It's like the more bloody and less cute version of the Mandalorian. Oh, who are we kidding? Headpool, he's adorable. Headpool then safely rolls into some nearby bushes as Deadpool is interrogated by and does battle with the Hydra soldiers. However, the troops quickly open fire on our hero, temporarily taking him out of action. You know, at least until his healing factor kicks in. The squad commander then finds the head, excited and intrigued, but just before he could bring it back to base, our boy Khazar leads a giant T-Rex onto the battlefield to chase these intruders out of his homeland. As the dino munches through the Hydra troops like green-wrapped candy, the battle heats up even more as Headpool's native groupie warriors then also swarm the battle to retrieve their bodiless king. See, you just don't see loyalty like that anymore. Deadpool then gets his hands on a minigun and sprays through the soldiers as he and them play a nice little game of Headpool football. Our boy Wade Wilson manages to secure the cranium and makes a touchdown where he and Dr. Betty escape. Just as they thought they were safe, they quickly panicked as they were chased by a zombified T-Rex that Headpool had bit sometime during the battle. I don't even have words for this. I think the 5-year-olds in us all can absolutely agree that zombie T-Rexes just may in fact be the coolest thing ever. The AIM scientist, patiently waiting for Deadpool to finish his mission in the skies above, believe that things may have gotten out of hand and decide to play things safe and keep the virus contained by using their satellite to blast into the Savage Land below. The blast just so conveniently manages to directly hit the zombie dino, giving our heroes time to escape. They then find a Hydra ship, where Deadpool knocks out the pilot, and takes a sandwich and glass of milk, where they then blast into the skies above. Dr. Betty and Deadpool then get the head safely back to the much surprised AIM scientist, who were shocked to see that the mercenary was successful in his mission. The group then takes Headpool in to be studied, while Deadpool freshens up, ready to claim his reward. However, still being a man of morals, the voices in Deadpool's head then tell him that leaving something as dangerous as Headpool in the hands of these shady scientists was much too dangerous for their world. He then has a change of heart and goes to save his stinky alternate self, only to get intercepted once again by Hydra troops who broke into the AIM ship, not ready to give up their prized possession. Deadpool, however, uses this well-constructed distraction to grab the head, Dr. Betty, and an AIM pilot named Bill, who he forces to pilot an escape ship. They then blow up the remaining Hydra agents and escape back to Earth. Deadpool has the ship take them back to the Florida swamp so they can return the head back to the Marvel Zombieverse and keep this dimension safe from the hands of the virus forever. As the trio trudge through the murky swamp waters, they are then jump scared by this dimension's Man-Thing, who is out to protect the multiverse portal. They manage to get away from the creature, only to be met once again by more Hydra soldiers. Geez, how many of these guys are there? However, after the commander's boring villainous monologue, Deadpool quickly cuts off his head and feeds it to Headpool for some lunch. The portal then opens up, revealing the gateway to the Zombieverse. Deadpool opts to go in alone and grabs his little buddy and heads through, promising to get him home and get him a new body. However, the portal, having somewhat of a mind of its own, throws the pair into a weird, almost 90s CGI world where another Captain America-esque Deadpool was the leader of the United States of North America. Look at his little vest and helmet. This world sounds awesome. Not being as fun as our Earth's Deadpool, this one captures Deadpool and the head where they interrogate the two. Not ready to give up, Deadpool breaks his containment where this world's version reveals his handsome, muscular stature, and the two do battle. While the pair were both a good match, our Deadpool proved victorious after playing dead and getting in a cheap shot. He then disguises himself as this alternate Deadpool, grabs the head and escapes through the portal once again, only to get tossed into yet another dimension where Captain America, here called General America, was at war with anti-American rebels. Deadpool and Headpool then look on and see that one of the rebel warriors was none other than an extra curvy female version of them. Thick Deadpool, anyone? Instantly falling in love with the hot lady version of himself faster than Loki did in the Loki show, Deadpool joins Ladypool and fights against General America. Once they get an opening, Deadpool then whips Headpool at Cap, who proceeds to bite his arm, all while Cap swears at his disbelief at the situation. Man, Steve, Tony Stark would not approve of the language you're using here. They then gang up and beat the snot out of Cap and even cut off his arm before the infection could spread. The Deadpools, getting all hot and bothered after their victory, then proceed to make out, declare it was weird, and never do it again. Man, I think it's safe to say that even Deadpool has better standards than Loki. The portal then opens up again, and Deadpool and Headpool escape, all while Headpool gnaws on Cap's tasty star-spangled arm. This time, the pair are teleported to the Old West, where they encounter cowboy versions of the X-Men. They then see a Texas outlaw version of themselves, who declares that he was going to take over the town. Having no time for this nonsense, our Deadpool kills Cowboy Deadpool, and they escape once again through the portal. Aw, I wanted to see more of the Old West. Not cool. Once they get through, they then somehow wind up back in the main Marvel universe. While it seemed like they were gone forever, a confused Dr. Betty and Bill said they were only gone for a few seconds. Just then, Jericho Drum appeared, who was the Sorcerer Supreme at this time. He told the Deadpools that since they had both went through the portal at the same time, the universe had focused on them and sent them only 2 worlds where they were a main focal point. He then realigns the portal to lead them to the Zombieverse so they could complete their mission. Deadpool, confused at this guy being the Sorcerer Supreme, tells him he should grow a mustache like Doctor Strange and prepares to enter the portal. The group is then approached by Man-Thing once again, and instead of taking their chances with the monster, this time Dr. Betty and Bill go through the portal with the Deadpools. Man, either choosing to go to a world filled with zombie superheroes or staying with the big green swamp monster? Honestly, I think I'm picking the swamp monster, folks. Upon entering the Zombieverse, Headpool was glad to be back in his sweet apocalyptic home. Seconds later, however, the heroes are then immediately jumped by Zombie Tigra, Moon Knight, and Shamrock, who are very excited to see some fresh food after so long. While the trio may have seemed doomed, Deadpool, Bill, and Betty managed to defeat the zombie heroes, all thanks to their guns, wit, and nice convenient plot armor. Don't leave home without it. Sensing the fresh meat, more of the remaining zombie heroes and villains then start sprinting toward Deadpool's direction. He and his buddies manage to get away, where they are then met by a group of survivors led by Professor Veronica Chase. Veronica then takes them to the survivor hideout, where Deadpool and Headpool then spend the next several weeks just chilling, eating snacks, and playing PlayStation. See, that's how you do a zombie apocalypse, folks. However, while things were fun for a while, Deadpool, wanting to flex his mercenary guns, met up with Veronica and Betty to see if they needed any help. Veronica, having a big crush on Deadpool, told him that she was close to finding a cure for the virus, but needed a live zombie specimen to see if things worked. Deadpool, being full of great ideas, then strapped Headpool atop of his body and then encountered a group of nearby zombies. Headpool then makes up a lie on the fly how he was able to survive the events after Galactus and that there was no more food left. Just as he leaves, he singles out one of the weakest of the group, the former X-Men Cypher, and whispers to him, telling him that he knew where he could find fresh meat. A few minutes later, the giddy zombie boy then meets Headpool on Headpool, all excited to get some tasty snacks. This ended up, of course, being a trap by Deadpool and the survivors as they bag the dumb undead X-Man and bring him into custody. With the sample, Veronica is then able to craft a cure for the virus, although the only caveat is that it must be taken within 1 hour of the infection. The next morning, the Deadpools, Betty and Bill then go to leave, but are then met with Zombie Absorbing Man, Armadillo, and Aguilla. Deadpool then uses a bazooka to bring a building down upon the zombies, and the trio get away in a blimp, complete with his name spray painted on the side. The blimp is quickly shot down by Zombie Iceman and Firebird, whom Deadpool and the others manage to defeat. While they fight, Zombie Absorbing Man was able to, absorb the skyscraper that Deadpool knocked down on him. He then emerges from the rubble and infects Veronica with the virus, where she then leads him to the remaining survivors, who they gobble up. Deadpool, unaware that his girlfriend became a zombie, hits her up saying that they needed transport. She then tells the gang to meet them there, all ready to get her newly infected hands on another round of snacks. Upon meeting, Deadpool and the gang are ambushed, but the quick-thinking mercenary throws a roll of toilet paper at Absorbing Man, which he takes on the form of, and is then quickly sliced to pieces by Deadpool. See, it all makes sense now. Now I see why everyone was hoarding toilet paper when the pandemic first broke out. They were just trying to protect themselves against Zombie Absorbing Man. Makes total sense. Genius. The group then approached Zombie Veronica, who threatened to destroy the vaccine she had created when she was still alive. Not having time for this nonsense, Dr. Betty pushed the zombie babe off the building, where Deadpool caught the cure. Headpool and the rest are then met by the remaining AIM scientist in a helicopter, who had tracked them to this dimension to claim their prize. Knowing this was the only way out of here, Deadpool cuts a deal with the scientists to give them the head if they give them a ride back to the Florida swamp so they could re-enter the Nexus portal. The backstabbing AIM agrees, but then quickly takes off with Headpool after they stop for gas. As they fly away, Headpool of course keeps on gabbing, where the lead scientist tells him to shut up. The quick-thinking Headpool then bites the man's finger off, infecting him with the virus. Ooh, look who's shutting up now, bro. Panicked that he would soon become undead, the scientist pleads with Headpool to help, where the undead merc tells him that the cure is with Deadpool and the rest. The reluctant scientists then turn the helicopter around and pick up our happy hero gang. The AIM commander then pleads with Deadpool to cure him, where, seemingly out of character, Deadpool agrees, much to the anger of Betty and Bill. Hey, the guy's a big softie. He can't help it. As the folks make their way to Florida, the AIM commander then remarks that he begins to feel rather strange. It is then revealed that he was still very much infected, and Deadpool was just timing things to see how long it would take for an infected person to turn. The quickly zombifying scientist then asked Deadpool just what he gave him before as the cure, which he then tells him that he drank a ton of Fresca before and peed in a vial. Man, only Deadpool would have someone drink his own pee. You see Deadpool at a party and he offers you a drink? I think you should just walk the other way. The man then fully turns where Deadpool said he had all the data he needed and smacked him out of the helicopter, where he splatted to the ground below. Deadpool and the others then make their way back to the Florida swamp and trudge their way to the portal. It is then revealed that when they teleported to this Earth, they had come here during the events of Marvel Zombies 3, where we see the original zombie Deadpool, complete with his body, getting ready to make his way to the main Marvel universe. Now, let's not think about it too hard. Time and dimensional travel can be confusing, folks. Let's just focus on Deadpool. Knowing that trouble is on its way, Deadpool then decided to put his plan into motion, where he had Dr. Betty cut off his arm, which he proceeded to put on backwards, and sew Headpool on top of it so he could literally have eyes in the back of his head and fight off multiple zombies at once. The unorthodoxness of Deadpool's plans never ceases to amaze me. But hey, that's what makes Deadpool Deadpool, folks. Literally, no other Marvel superhero would think of this. Our heroes then manage to cut the zombies down to one, leaving just the original zombie Deadpool left. Betty and Bill then jump him from behind, where they blast the poor dude's head to pieces. R.I.P. Deadpool. Well, this one anyway. Fulfilling his promise, our Deadpool then picks up Headpool and grafts him onto his now vacant body of the recently deceased zombie pool. Upon feeling his hunger take over again, Headpool then leaps through the portal without saying thank you, and then confronts the heroes as he did right at the beginning of Marvel Zombies 3. However, dimension travel, being as weird as it is, causes things to play out in a paradox, with him being defeated once again, where he is chopped up by the fan, reduced to a head, and placed in the boat again by Simon. Man, that sucks. It's like Zombie Groundhog Day, minus Bill Murray. Just as he thought things were over, our Deadpool then enters the portal to go back home, where he is then intercepted by the cosmic being known as the Contemplator, who is kind of like the Watcher, but is actually allowed to do stuff. He then tells Deadpool of a cosmic evil threatening the universe, and that only he could stop it. He then has Deadpool form a team of alternate versions of himself, which consisted of Lady Deadpool from before, a child version of himself named Kidpool, a doggy version named Dogpool, and last but not least, our boy Headpool. Upon floating in his little boat, Headpool was picked up by pirates, who is then brought to a comically mad scientist hunter, who planned to do all sorts of weird experiments to it. Just before pirate Dr. Frankenstein could get to work, our Deadpool showed up, killed them all, and saved Headpool, who even found a little propeller hat that would let him get around. Dude may not have legs, but he may have just found the next best thing. The group then form the Deadpool Corps, who go throughout space and time, conquering all sorts of evil, including mind-controlling mime hats. See? Someone's got to take the job the Avengers won't do. However, the time-hopping fun for Headpool would soon end when a rogue Deadpool formed what was known as the Evil Deadpool Corps, where he sent an assassin after Headpool and the others. The killer hunted Headpool down, threw his head in a microwave and cooked it until it exploded, resulted in a gooey and violent end for our favorite zombie mercenary with half a mouth. And that is the full gory story of Zombie Deadpool. I know this was a long one and was totally unlike any of the other Marvel zombie stories we have covered, but hey, that's Deadpool for you. He's unlike most heroes in general. His story is absolutely insane, and I loved every second of it, for not only does it expand upon the original Marvel zombie storyline, it also just gives us some of the most insane Deadpool content that we have ever gotten. I would love if somehow Zombie Deadpool does get at least a wink or a nod in the upcoming Marvel Zombie series, because, hey man, dude deserves it. Best Marvel Zombie Award definitely goes to our boy. Now, what are your thoughts on this? Did you know this about Zombie Deadpool? Was there something I missed? What other comic characters should we cover? Sound off in the comments. Also, be sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed today's content, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon to be notified of all of our latest videos. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, you are awesome and loved. God bless, and I will see you in the next one.